Hello everyone, welcome back to the Auto Exposed channel. In this video, we will discuss the complexity of manual transmission in cars. The transmission is a component that regulates the engine's speed range. If we open up the transmission box, we will find a very complex arrangement of gears. But don't worry, we'll break it down as simply as possible. So let's start with the working principle of a transmission. A manual transmission essentially relies on two gears with different numbers of gear. These two gears consist of an input gear, which receives rotational input, and an output gear, which receives the rotation. When the input gear has fewer gear than the output gear, it reduces the rotation speed. For example, if the input gear has 20 gear and the output gear has 30 gear, one full rotation of the input gear will only rotate the output gear by 2/3 of a turn. With this ratio, the input rotation speed is reduced by 30%. To provide a transmission with varying gear ratios, it includes multiple sets of gears, each with a different number of gear. However, not all gears can be engaged simultaneously. That's why there is a shifting system. This mechanism allows the transmission to switch between different gear sets. The most commonly used shifting system today is the synchronous system. It looks something like this. Here, you can see that the input shaft is aligned with the output shaft, but they are separate from each other. The input shaft is connected to the input gear. The input gear is linked to a series of lower gears called countergears. These countergears are designed to match the transmission's gear ratios. For example, in a 5-speed transmission, there are 5 countergears. Each countergear is connected to an output gear on the output shaft, with each gear set having a different gear ratio. As a result, each output gear rotates at a different speed. However, these output gears are not directly connected to the output shaft. They are floating gears, so when the input gear rotates, the counter gears and output gears rotate as well, but the output shaft does not. To connect the rotation to the output, there is a component called the hub sleeve. Unlike the floating output gears, the hub sleeve is connected to the output shaft and has the ability to shift. When the hub sleeve is in the middle position, there is no connection between the output gears and the output shaft. This is known as neutral. When the first hub sleeve is moved to the largest output gear, it connects the previously floating output gear to the output shaft. This makes the output shaft rotate according to the first output gear's speed. When the hub sleeve is shifted in the opposite direction, it connects the output shaft to the second output gear, changing the speed accordingly. For third gear, the second hub sleeve is moved to the third output gear, changing the speed once again. The same principle applies to fourth gear. For fifth gear, the third hub sleeve is directly shifted to the input gear, meaning the input shaft is directly connected to the output shaft. At this position, the gear ratio is 1:1, making it the fastest gear. For reverse gear, there is an additional gear called the reversal gear. This gear is connected to the counter gear, and when shifted, it engages with hub sleeve 1. This is why hub sleeve 1 has a gear, while the others do not. This connection causes the output shaft to rotate in the opposite direction, allowing the vehicle to move backward. This is the core concept of a synchronous transmission. It synchronizes the output shaft with the output gear, each of which rotates at different speeds. Some might still wonder how the output shaft connects to the output gear just by shifting the hub sleeve. If we look closely, each output gear has a small gear set on its side. Meanwhile, the hub sleeve itself has two parts. The inner part has large external gears, matching the small gear set on the output gear. The outer part of the hub sleeve has an inner gear set, allowing it to slide. So, when the hub sleeve is shifted, it connects the small gear set on the output gear with the inner hub sleeve gears. Finally, let's talk about the mechanism for shifting the hub sleeve. This system works like a simple lever. Since there are 3 hub sleeves, there are also 3 levers. The ends of these levers are aligned in a row so that we can control them just by moving the gear shift lever. That concludes our explanation of the complex manual transmission system in cars. Hopefully, this adds to our understanding of how it works. Thanks for watching.